I counsel clients today. Every day I counsel clients. And I remind them at one point when they complain, why doesn't my husband listen to me like you? I mean, he's my husband. And I say, well, first, you're never complaining about me. You're only complaining about him. If you change to complaining about me, I'll double my rate. Okay. So that's the first thing. Second one is it's only 50 minutes. I've got you for 50 minutes. I don't have you all the time. So it's very easy for me to be very understanding and be there. But the third, which is the most important, is I get paid. I'm not your husband. I get paid to do this. He's your husband. And so what you have to do is there has to be some give and take in the relationship. You have to know what he needs and what he doesn't need. And what he doesn't need is what you've been doing. Because if you have burnout, it's like you're not too much discontent, too much complaining, too much advice, too much trying to change him and improve him smothers a man's masculinity. And that's all in my book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, so much of that. But I want to do some straight biohacks for women to get their hormones back into play because we only have this short period of time together. So it's understanding your adrenal glands need support. The behaviors that caused you to have adrenal burnout are the behaviors you need to change. And we'll look at what those are. But first of all, the major symptom of adrenal burnout is you're living in a state of adrenaline production. And in that state of adrenaline, you have a bias in your brain that you cannot change until you heal the adrenal glands. And what the bias is, your brain immediately goes into a bias that looks only at negativity. You cannot be optimistic. You cannot see the positive. You really just see what's wrong. And it's like you have no control over it. I mean, literally, if I was to put on these glasses, everything's yellow, right? So everything is yellow. It's like the blue is taken out. I can't see any of the blue. These are the things you're supposed to do with a computer, but it knocks out the blue. So when you're in a stress state, the glasses you put on are going to knock out anything positive. You can't see the positive. You just see the negative. And the negative is the same negative that's there for everybody. We all have negativity in our lives. Doesn't matter how rich you are, how poor you are, you all have negativity. It's just, do you have enough positivity to balance it? And this is particularly the way women process love and stress and so much. If they're not feeling good, they're in a stress state, their brain looks at a bias of looking at what's negative. Then what the brain's designed to do, if you use your brain design, is generate looking at something positive. But first you have to look at the negative, then you'll look at the positive if you choose to. So this is a discipline that women have to learn, which is how to look at the negative without using the negative to change somebody. That's called a complaint. So normally when you have a discontent, you're ignoring me all the time. You have no passion. It's all gone now. You leave a mess around the house. You forgot to call me. I feel like you don't care. You're not even interested in what I feel or what I think. It's like we're strangers living in the same house, or it's like we're just friends, but you're not cleaning your clothes right. Whatever it is, these little petty things, they become big things when your brain has this bias of looking at the negative. So then what you do is you communicate the negative, and that would be called giving suggestions to your partner that they're not asking for. Okay. You should do this. You should do that. And he doesn't want to hear that, but you think he needs to hear that. That's different. That's right. That's different from, honey, I don't know what to do about this. What do you think I should do? Then you can give advice, and only then be very careful. So you're either trying to improve him or you're pointing out to him what's wrong with him. And that's even worse. Okay. They're both doesn't work. So what you're doing is using your discontent, I'm not satisfied, and you're expressing that discontent in some way to change the outer world. That's called complaining, okay, or disapproving. Whenever you do that, you put your brain further into a negative state. The only way you can free yourself from this loop of thinking about the negative, thinking about the negative, thinking about looking at the negative, your brain just goes into a bias, is to begin to look at your negative and let it go without telling that person. So this is the concept, okay? I've never read this before. This is John Gray's stuff, and it works. I've helped women shift this incessant, I forget the word they use for it for women, but it's thinking about it again and again and again.
Compulsivity, yes, I understand.
It's like compulsively thinking about this is not working, that he did this. You can't forget it. Your brain just loops on it. Okay. You're starting to loop and loop and loop. How do you break that loop so you can come back to the other side, which is the positive, so you can balance it out? And balancing, the brain wants to do it. You have to free it to do it by learning how to do it. Whenever you have discontent, adrenaline, stress, and you express that in some way to get somebody to change, you now are reinforcing the need to be negative because you're using negativity to create a change in the world. You want change to occur. When you're stressed, the outer world has to change. And you have to realize that, okay, my negativity, if I express it, not only will not change the outer world, so it just gets worse, but also it causes me to use negativity to try to change the world. So if I use negativity to change him and he doesn't change, the brain goes, then I have to do it harder and I have to push harder and I have to push harder. It's
Say
the
again.
negative loop. It's just, we have to get out of that. That's why people first will get a little angry, raise their voice, and what doesn't work, they raise their voice even more and they raise their voice even more. And over time, the brain is loud all the time. It just will keep going. So we have to change the pattern. Now, the bias is automatic. When you're in a stress state, your brain will always look for the negative. Because, if somebody said, there's a terrorist in town, you're going to be looking for where's the terrorist. Okay. Whenever you're in a stress state, you look at what's wrong.